Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another episode of Nadi Digital Economy Malaysia. We're going to get a show on the road today, and Dzof's going to kick us off with, the first unicorn in Malaysia.
Yeah, so Malaysians have been asking for a long time, when are we going to get a unicorn? People say Grab doesn't count as a unicorn because now they're based in Singapore, so they're not really Malaysian anymore. Well, guess what? We now have one, it seems, Carsome, being valued at more than $1 billion. This valuation has come on the back of this deal that they've done with iCar Asia. Carsome, of course, deals in buying and selling of second-hand cars, and iCar is the supply chain of car dealerships as well. Carsome have agreed to acquire 19.9% of iCar from Catcher Group. Catcher, we know, another well-known Malaysian entity.
Yep.
And in return, Carsome will get a 30% stake of iCar, and with an offer to buy the remaining 80.1% in iCar from existing shareholders, and that is valued at $200 million. So when you look at the numbers, you look at the shares being bought, and look at shares being given in exchange, you come up with this magical $1 billion figure. So Karam, Malaysia has one, Singapore have 5 or 6 unicorns now.
I think we brought it up before in the show. You just kind of want to get the monkey off your back, right? To say that we've got a unicorn, and Bloomberg actually put there in the headline that Malaysia they are a unicorn now. So just to be clear, your normal a yardstick for declaring a company a unicorn is when somebody else acquires a stake in you, and the stake which they're acquiring you values your entire company in at least $1 billion or more. So here it is different. It is a Carsome acquiring a stake in iCar, first from Catcher Group's almost 19.9% stake, and then making an offer for the entire stake of iCar. And that in total then values Carsome at $1 billion. So it's 6.5 dozen of the other. But so who are we to argue with Bloomberg? They've said it's a unicorn, fine. And people are, at least in the tech ecosystem in Malaysia, people are happy that we have our first one. And we did our live Friday show, because we record this on a Saturday. We did our live Friday show, Tech Talk Friday yesterday, and 2 startup entrepreneurs, and we're going to talk about one of them shortly after this, were actually happy that we have our first unicorn, because they say it really inspires others, and it gives Malaysians the belief, our entrepreneurs, the belief that, yes, we can do it. If they can do it in their vertical, surely we can do it in our vertical also. So it gives you the can-do spirit. And, any country in the world can do with more can-do spirit, right? So what's interesting also is that, Carsome says that with this consolidation, they now form the largest digital automotive group, right, in Southeast Asia. And by the way, this is a market that a third party has valued at about $55 billion, which is a huge market. Totally caught me by surprise that the Southeast Asian market is worth that much in terms of, very specific, right? The online car market. And most people are still buying cars offline, right? Which means that the total automotive market is worth even larger. This is the online car market. But so my point is here that Carsome is talking about the largest digital auto. They use the word digital, they didn't use online, because Carsome is now, first they were helping you to sell your second-hand car. They have now ventured into allowing car dealers, right, especially second-hand car dealers, to digitize their operations, for them, to go with the times, right, to be more digital. So that's why they're talking about being the largest digital automotive market. They don't want to just be an online, place where you're transacting, because so many transactions, like I said, still happening offline, right? So it's a nice, people who are in this space will capture the word there, right? They're using digital and not online. And like I said, they're competing with another unicorn. Last month, a Singapore-based startup, and they focus actually more in the new car space, although they're also now in the online space. Caro, as in CARRO, and they got invested into the tune as $360 million, which also values them at $1 billion now. So these two players are now going to go head to head in the market. And I think I'm going to make a prediction, and you're hearing this here first. At some point, both of them are probably going to merge, just like what happened with Grab, okay, and with Uber. And what has happened with Food Panda, not Food Panda, sorry, no merger there, but with Alibaba, where instead of launching their own e-commerce site in Malaysia or in Southeast Asia, they took over the one that was run by Rocket Internet, right? And so now you've got Lazada. They kept the name the same. So Lazada is now owned by Alibaba. Instead of competing and saying we're just going to give more and more discounts to users, why do that? And also with what is happening in Indonesia now, where Tokopedia and Gojek have merged, although they don't compete directly. So and also these mergers reduce competition, which is kind of interesting. So I predict that you may see this happening, 2 years down the road or whatever, when they say, why are we trying to kill each other, where the consumer benefits disproportionately. So that's what I would have to say about this. And congratulations to Carsome, of course.
I just feel that this fertile ground for these budding unicorns seems to be a vibrant and not in terms of the potential market, but in terms of players in the market. Because what seems to happen is that individual players specialize in different in certain areas, and then once they get to a certain size and start bumping into each other, they realize that there might be a synergy if they start trying to either consolidate or so. That seems to be happening.
But before we do, I now remember which was the previous consolidation, where you had Carsome, which is playing in the consumer to consumer space, right? And you had Muda. Muda is owned by majority shareholders, actually Norwegian Telenor. And last year, sometime the two of them merged together as one. Although they're still operating separately, but they're under the same group now. So that, in a way, I think diminishes competition also. But because in countries like Asia, Southeast Asia, we don't have very strong anti-competition laws that encompass all verticals. So that's something that needs to be addressed also. But that's probably a story for another day. So let's move on to Speedhome. And we mentioned this earlier, right? Because the founder of Speedhome is a gentleman called Wong Whei Meng, and they are, why we're highlighting them is because they raised 7 million ringgit last week, and which is $1.7 million. And Wei Meng is a very interesting entrepreneur, because while almost all entrepreneurs keep their heads low, in the sense that if they have a personal cause, and the cost may be, a Palestinian cause, they may be, abuse spouses, it may be, single children, or maybe LGBT rights. They keep it quiet and they don't make it part and parcel of their startup. But here, Wei Meng has made, his cause is that he thinks that all of us should be seen as equals, right? There should be no racial discrimination at all. He has a strong sense against that. In his big bet into the product he has offered, which is, Speedhome. It was called SpeedRent before. Basically, it's an app where it allows you to rent out your property sooner. If you are a property, if you are a tenant, a prospective tenant, you can easily rent a property much easier. And the algorithm is built so that there's no discrimination based on race. And I personally have experienced that before. And also in terms of your sexual, disposition, and gender. And the interesting is that when he raised his money, one of his investors, Thomas Tao, is one of the managing partner for Gobi Ventures, which is one of the leading, venture capitalist players in Asia. He actually highlighted this also, that we like the fact that, they are trying to remove biasness from the act of, renting properties. So, Wei Meng is very interesting. And besides this, Wei Meng also stuck his head out and issued a press release in 2017 going against the Malaysian Institute of Real Estate Agents, because the real estate agents, they made a few police reports against these property startups. And Wei Meng was the chief, protagonist there, I guess, because he openly says that we want to remove property agents from the equation. So buyers should be able to directly link up with property owners. And even he was on a guest on our Friday Tech Talk show. He again brought that up to say, yes, I want to eliminate real estate property agents in the rental space. Maybe when you're buying a property, you still need a property agent, but when you're renting, there's no need for them. And he brought that up again because I was saying that how are you competing with the likes of iProperty, the likes of Property Guru, right, which are big players? They can, of course, add this element into the service they offer. And he said they cannot because they specifically work and in partnership with real estate agents. So you cannot now add this element which actually aims to eliminate real estate agents. So it's very interesting that his differentiator, at least in Malaysia and Singapore, is this piece, is this proposition that you will not be discriminated against. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's always about there's two things. One is cutting down the cost, and the other one is, of course, eliminating bias. I would say, well, good luck to him. I think eliminating bias is a difficult thing to do, but at least someone is consciously trying to do it. The other thing, Karam, is that this Series A fund that he's getting at 1.7 million US. The ambition is, of course, to go beyond Malaysia, right? I think he said something like Bangkok is his next port of call. If he can get it right in KL, he says he wants to go to Bangkok next because he thinks it's very similar to KL, right? So it's sort of this cookie cutter thing. Like maybe if we can do it right here, we can just move this this sense of automation across.
Actually, no, Zof, there's no cookie cutter because he says that the eliminating bias will not be a key value proposition in a market like Thailand, which is pretty much homogeneous, right? Malaysia is unique, we're very multicultural. And also...
Yeah, but the AI is not just to eliminate bias, right? The AI is to obviously find the best fit for...
No. And to make it smoother, to do quick credit checks also so that the tenant will, the owner will, property owner knows that they're renting out to a tenant who's good. So they've got a lot of data points they look at to help, make sure that the tenants are good tenants, for the owner. But the thing about Thailand, he said the reason why he went to Thailand, I want to bring this up, was that earlier he had raised 5 million ringgit through equity crowdfunding with Pitchin in Malaysia in 2018 and 2019, two separate rounds of 2.5 million. And in one of the rounds, an investor was a Malaysian who's based in Thailand, very familiar with the Thai market. And the investor then told him that, when you do equity crowdfunding and you pay 10,000 ringgit, so you get a stake in the company you take. You buy the stake in, right? So this guy took a stake in Speedhome, and he told Whei Meng then that, hey, if you ever want to come into the Thai market, I've been doing business there for 19 years or 20 years. I can help you get into the market. So Whei Meng said that when you enter a market, it is an incredible benefit that somebody there already who you trust, who has a relationship with you and who knows the market well. So that was the reason why he picked Bangkok first. So his earlier round ECF, right, has proven to be very helpful for him in his regional expansion, starting with Bangkok.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So moving on to the next story, Karam, in much the same way that you are perhaps replacing human real estate agents with some computer automated version of it, Sony have been talking about using robots to cut costs, right, and boost productivity. So Kimio Maki, the head of Sony's electronics business, said in an interview that they expect to cut costs by 70% at Sony's mainstay TV factory in Malaysia.
In Malaysia, man. Whoa, that's why we're highlighting this story here.
Which then, of course, begs the question, I mean, if you're going to cut 70% of cost, right? I mean, where are you going to cut the costs? And the obvious thing that's not being said is that you don't need to hire as many people, perhaps. I mean, Karam, do you think this is where a lot of the cost cutting will be? And if so, what will the impact be, right?
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Obviously, people cost is your biggest cost, besides your overhead of rental, right? But and your power cost, it's people. So the whole world is moving this way. I spoke to the CIO of a German company based in Penang, and he was saying that they want to automate in Malaysia. And he told me this scary story about because it's a global company and it's family owned, it's not listed. And he said that if you think what we're going to do in Malaysia is scary, in Germany, he said the owners have automated one of the factories there. where I don't know how many numbers of people they had. It went down to 2 engineers per shift, Zof, right? 2 engineers per shift just to keep each other company. The entire factory making a medical product has been automated. And this was an anecdote he shared with me 6 years ago in 2015. So how incredible is that? So automation is just racing ahead, even without AI back then, right? What more now? This is just the way of the world, right? And people who are in the Sony factory, I would advise you actually to maybe go and look at 42KL and see whether you can join that program, which is free and where you learn coding. Yeah? So this is a nice segue into the next article where, and we're highlighting 42KL. And
Yes.
for those of you who don't know, 42KL is actually the Malaysian partner for global organization called 42eCol. And this was founded by French billionaire, maverick entrepreneur Xavier Niel, who made his space from the broadband space and was always frustrated that there were not enough people with technical skills in France itself. And so he launched this school there and started taking it all over the world. It's in the Silicon Valley, it's in Germany, and it's in Thailand, it's in Malaysia. And Malaysia, the partner is Sunway Group. And Sunway is the partner to roll out this program. I think the first intake is already live now. And so this is a global competition set up by a NGO or a group that's working on plankton, right? So to them, plankton is one of the planktons are the key animals that produce oxygen, right? Not even oxygen for all of us. And they do research in the ocean. So this was an ecological hackathon. And the challenge was to try to come up with a machine learning algorithm that can analyze the billions of pictures they take, right, of plankton and come up with insights into that, right? So key challenge was the algorithm must be better than what's being used on the ship right now. There's a ship somewhere in the ocean as we speak, right, collecting these samples, doing its research. And the second part is because it's in the ocean, they say you must use minimal electric power. And the Malaysian team came out runners-up, second in the world. Actually, I asked 42KL to find out how many teams all over the world participated. And whatever it is, it's a global competition. And the team from 42 were runners-up. And according to judges, their algorithm was better. And I'm repeating myself now, better than the algorithm used on the ship now, right? What they're using to analyze the samples they take. But they lost out to the winning team, which was two guys one is from France, one is from another country. They're both master's level software engineering students, right? And this team, they're only in their first year of learning, the coding and everything associated with it from 42KL. And they came out second in the world. Amazing. All four students, one of them is actually a medical student. Actually, he's a medical practitioner. He left to join this because that's what he wanted to do with his life. One of them is actually already working as a software engineer somewhere, then he quit because he wanted to sharpen his skills. And one is 18-year-old, right? He's a student and decided to study this. So it's incredible that this 42KL, the 42 ethos is that students must learn from each other. And it is proven to be a winning formula because the four of them, neither of them had machine learning skills, right? So they had to learn before they got into the program because they know they're applying to get into this hackathon. Unbelievable what they do. And I think bottom line is off. Sorry, I cut you off. You wanted to say something. It proves that there is amazing talent in Malaysia. Anyway, with that, that's all we have for this week's show. We hope you enjoyed it and that you will share it also with people if you like. And we will see you again next week.